Russia has bombarded Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, with one of its deadliest overnight attacks in recent months. At least 27 people were killed and 85 others injured as waves of ballistic missiles and drones struck the city, lasting well into Thursday morning. Firefighters raced across multiple districts to put out blazes, while rescue teams searched the rubble of several apartment buildings that were partially destroyed. An unknown number of people remain trapped. This barrage comes amid what Ukrainian officials are calling the deadliest spring for civilians since the opening weeks of Russia's full-scale invasion back in 2022. The violence has been escalating on both sides as each race to develop and deploy new weapons. The Russian military's defense ministry said the strikes on Kyiv were a direct response to Ukraine's recent attacks inside Russian territory. And those Ukrainian strikes have been significant. Ukraine has been using a growing arsenal of domestically produced long-range drones and cruise missiles to hit fuel facilities and military installations deep inside Russia, targets in every corner of occupied Ukraine and even in Crimea. These strikes have caused logistical headaches for the Russian military and contributed to widespread fuel shortages across Russia, eroding President Vladimir Putin's ability to shield large parts of the country, including Moscow, from the realities of the war. Putin himself, after initially staying silent on Ukraine's intensifying campaign, acknowledged on Russian state television on Sunday that the strikes on critical infrastructure were, in his words, obviously creating problems and certain shortages, though he insisted the situation was not critical. His resolve to keep fighting, however, appears unchanged. Ukraine's foreign minister, Andriy Sybiha, pushed back hard against any suggestion of moral equivalence between the two countries' strikes. It is immoral to justify Russian atrocities against Ukrainians by saying that Moscow acts in response to Ukraine's long-range strikes against Russia, he wrote on social media, invoking Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, which recognizes a nation's right to self-defense. In this war, there is an aggressor and a country defending itself. Meanwhile, Ukraine kept up its own offensive. On Thursday, its military claimed to have struck an oil refinery in the town of Kstovo in the Nizhny Novgorod region, described as one of the largest refineries in Russia. The European Union also responded to Russia's attack on Kyiv, though the details of that response were still emerging. The overnight assault on Kyiv is a stark reminder that even as Ukraine expands its reach deeper into Russian territory, Russia continues to bring devastating force down on Ukrainian civilians. I'm your host, thanks for listening.